Well, good evening. Welcome to the District 6 Board of Education meeting. Today is the 25th day of September 2023. This meeting will now come to order. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Lemon, will you call the roll for us, please?
Director Bentley.
Present.
Director Campos-Spitzy.
Present.
Director Mash.
Present.
Director Matthews.
Present.
Director Norwood.
Present.
Director Pappas.
Present.
Director Sullivan.
Present.
All board members present.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Well, again, if you are joining us here tonight in person or whether you're joining us online or seeing this at a later date, we do welcome you to the Board of Education meeting for District 6, and we are glad that you're joining us. Just first things first, you will notice we're not in our normal business attire today, or at least not, some of us aren't. A lot of us are wearing these District 6 jerseys that were given to us, some administrators and board members, and we had these distributed to us this morning for convocation. And so this morning we had I don't know if it was all, but it was 2,500 all of our employees gathered together at West High School, Greeley West High School, in the auditorium, and we just had a fantastic morning of celebrating the successes of our district and thanking all the different employee groups, and even for us who look over the entirety of the school district. It is easy to forget how big this district really is, and there really are 2,500 people that work hard every day to make sure that our students are taken care of. And we got to go group by group and committee by committee, Dr. Pilch did, and thank them. And so we just want to extend our gratitude again to this district, to all of those different employee groups that work so hard to take care of our students. And thank you for being there this morning, and thank Dr. Pilch for that event. It's a great reminder of why we do what we do and what a fantastic district we have. I do want to give a shout out to a few people, especially our communications team, for putting that district event together. And so we do appreciate all the work that went into that. And again, thank you so much for providing us that opportunity and providing our district that opportunity to remember how big a district and what an important job we have. So that's all the announcements I have tonight. We've had a long day, and I think that's true for everybody in the room, and we're going to move on to the approval of our agenda.
I move that the Board of Education of Greeley-Evans School District 6 approves the agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. Is there any discussion on the agenda? I'm not seeing any, Ms. Lemon, so give us a vote, please.
Director Bentley.
Aye.
Director Campos-Spitzy.
Aye.
Director Mash.
Aye.
Director Matthews.
Aye.
Director Norwood.
Aye.
Director Pappas.
Aye.
Director Sullivan.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Next up, we have our board member comments and reports. And tonight we'll start with Mr. Norwood.
Caught me by surprise. I've been a little MIA, but I did get a chance to go out and watch a couple football games. That's really about all the time I've had to do anything. Got a chance to go out and watch Northridge play twice, their homecoming game, and then another game, and they are 5-0. Grizzlies are 5-0. So did get a chance to go out and watch the Powder Puff game out there as well. So, that's been the extent of life besides working.
Thank you, Mr. Norwood. Ms. Sullivan.
I just want to actually bounce back to the last meeting because I wasn't able to speak much because I wasn't feeling well, but I want to definitely give kudos to Dr. Pilch. That Career Technical Ed Center is just amazing, and you're hitting a need. You're hitting a need that we definitely need to market to because, again, like I had said earlier today, college is. Am I not being heard? Okay. College is not being, isn't really on the forefront as much as it was used to be because a lot of the programs are going away and the cost is getting a little out of touch. So the trades are definitely where it's at right now. So I really truly commend you. I think that is like the most amazing program that you've developed here. So thank you for that. I also want to talk about the DAC, and for anybody that's unaware of that, we have what's called the District Accountability Meeting, and it's a makeup of parents, basically. So it's nice because you get to sit in a room full of parents and hear their true feedback and kind of learn where their thoughts are and their process, and they get to have some input as to what happens within the board. We just did the kickoff meeting, and they did their election for their chair, vice chair, and secretary, and I'm really happy to see that we had 3 dads that had joined this program. So we need more dads' voices in there and get some of that balance. So that was good to see. I did make it over to Frontier this week. They did have a play there, and it was a cute little one. It was called the Pluckety Pirates and the Dancing Molly, and they had 3 nights of that. But it was a really nice event, and they have an outdoor stage if anybody's never been there over at the Frontier Elementary School, and that's where they hold their spring plays. So if you ever get a chance to see one of those, go see one. I really was impressed with the whole stage setup and how hard those kids worked.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Dr. Campos-Spitzy.
So since our last board meeting, the board had the chance to go visit Winograd K through 8. We got to meet Winograd's fairly new principal, Lindsay Gentle. And what I most appreciated about the visit, she gave us this historical perspective about Winograd and how when it opened, it was, they were intentional on forming boundaries that they felt would bring equity to their schools. So they, have that east to west boundary, and eastward extends all the way to at least 11th Avenue near Island Grove. So that was eye-opening for me. Last Friday, I also got to go to Wilma Scott Elementary. I have a lot of friends who are teachers and administrators there, and got invited to go to their Scott Fall Carnival, which, much to the delight and surprise of the staff there, was extremely well attended. It was just like a Friday night block party for the neighborhood. There was at least 1,000 people there, and just, I think everyone was beaming and smiling ear to ear just to see the community turnout. It was pretty cool. And then this morning, convocation was a highlight for sure, to have 2,500 of our staff who show up for our kids every single day in one building and get to celebrate them and thank them for the hard years that we've had because of the pandemic, and thank them for their grit and just show them our full appreciation of them. That was really special. And then because it is still Hispanic Heritage Month, I did want to give one shout out to the Greeley History Museum. I would like to invite everyone to check out their Dolores Huerta exhibit. It's called Revolution in the Fields, Revolución en los Campos. And their quick little blurb: discover the compelling story of legendary activist and leader Dolores Huerta and the farm workers movement of the 60s and 70s. It's a quintessentially American tale of struggle and sacrifice, of courage and victory. The exhibition, which features bilingual text, explores Huerta's public life as an activist and co-founder of the United Farm Workers Union, and what led her to become a Latina civil rights icon. In her life as a teacher, a mother, communicator, organizer, lobbyist, and contract negotiator, her unparalleled leadership skills helped dramatically improve the lives of farm workers. So the exhibit is from September 14th all the way till December 2nd, and I hope you guys get a chance to check it out.
Thank you, Dr. Campos-Spitzy. Mr. Bentley.
Yeah, sorry that the TVs are flickering on us, so if we look confused, it's because we are. I had a busy couple weeks too. I had to actually cancel on most of the events that we did. I did get to attend University's homecoming though on the 22nd against Highland, which they won 42-15. So they've had a pretty good year. They also beat Eaton last couple weeks ago, which is a pretty rare feat. So we're pretty happy about that. They're 3-time state champs. It's been 11 years since we beat them, so we're still on that high, even though we were only 2-2. But then today, I made it to convocation this morning, obviously with my jersey. But that was great. That was my first experience. I think 2019 was the last time we did it. So just finally getting to see a lot of the staff in one spot. It's that's the most I've ever seen in one spot. I think if anything we've done, it might be that might be why, it's because there's so many of them. But it was just fun to see the bands playing when we come in. It was like a high school pep rally. We was back in high school again. So just need them running down the halls before a big game or something. It was pretty fun. So good to hear all the good things the district's doing, and to hear Dr. Pilch just kind of speak directly to her staff and just hear their feedback. And it was well needed and well timed and well executed. So thank you guys, everybody that helped put that on.
Ms. Mash.
Well, thank you. I also enjoyed our visit to Winograd, and one of the things that we got to see when we were there is they have a recording studio, and they hadn't had formal training on it, or at least the teacher hadn't yet, but of course our students are all so tech savvy, they were just figuring it out and interviewing each other and having a great time with that. So that was fun to see. The convocation was so much fun. I was a cheerleader in high school, so they gave me a pom-pom and I just shook it the whole time. But it was so cool to see all of the schools with their different matching t-shirts and see the team spirit there, building by building, but then all together, all togetherness of District 6. I wanted to point out that the nutrition team made 2,500 breakfast burritos, and they were hot and cheesy and delicious. The communication team, I can't even imagine all of the details that you took care of. We had swag bags. There were great video clips that Dr. Pilch utilized, and then we had all three of our high schools had their marching bands, and they even all played a song together. It was just a blast. I had so much fun. And I'm so proud to be part of District 6 and to get to tell the good stories and to hear Dr. Pilch get to speak directly to the staff and kind of just recap the amazing work that we've been doing, and especially over the last few years where it's been a lot more challenging. So I think the year's off to a great start, and now we just have a little more wind in our sails too.
Ms. Pappas.
I was not a cheerleader in high school, but the convocation today was just spectacular. And I say that seriously. I have no idea how many convocations I've attended over 4 decades of being part of District 6, but today was really a positive experience. I think there was, as a teacher and a staff member and all the jobs that people have, getting up on a Monday morning and going to be together with everyone can sometimes be like, oh, could we just have this time to work in our buildings? But I honestly believe that the energy in the room was just powerful, and I think people had a really good time visiting people, seeing people they hadn't seen for a long time. I personally really enjoyed the bands from all the schools. That was a lot of fun, and just the energy that people had throwing out t-shirts and giving away gifts. And of course, Justin Davis is always such a great, MC, I guess. But it was great. And just being able to see former students, former colleagues, and I probably won't attend another convocation, so I'm glad this one was great. And I thank everybody for the work that happened today. Winograd was a really great visit, and I want to just point out a couple things. Dr. Pilch alluded to this in her presentation today as well, but we saw 2 classrooms, a 4th grade classroom and a kindergarten classroom, and both teachers were engaged in the reading, writing, the new curriculum we have for reading and writing. And as Dr. Pilch mentioned today, when you adopt a new curriculum, it is a lot of work. It's a heavy lift. And both teachers that we were able to visit, Larry Warden and also Laura Gurney, it was just reaffirming, and it just made me realize that the permission that Dr. Pilch gave teachers today to don't think you have to be perfect, do your best, go in every day knowing that you're doing your best, and realize that we understand that it's a heavy lift when you adopt new curriculum. And we recently adopted a new math curriculum. So keep that in mind. And I appreciated when you made that comment today, Dr. Pilch. And then the other exciting news is I was able to attend the Council of Student Rep meeting last week. And just want to make sure that everyone knows that we do have 2 student reps here with us tonight Richard Alania Cortez, and also a new member, Tyler McManus, and we're just very happy that you're with us here tonight. And is there anything you would like to say, or would you? Okay, that's fine. But we're just glad you're here. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Pappas. And I don't have a lot to add. It's always wonderful to visit our schools. It's one of the most, it's definitely one of the most important things that we do as board members is to get into schools and to see what's actually happening in those schools and see these different curriculums that we have curriculum committees bring to us and we adopt and then get to see those curriculums in action, get to see what the benefits to our students are, what the challenges are for our teachers in implementing new curriculums. And so every time we do this about every 2 weeks, I would say we're in a different school, and that's normally how we see the district. We see at a school at a time, or maybe we go to transportation, or maybe we go to nutrition services, and we get to see what they do every day. But it's, as we said, it's a different experience to see everybody in the room at once. And I would agree, Dr. Pilch, it's such a, with my fellow board members, such a powerful moment, because I think a lot of our teachers and a lot of our staff in general think we don't think past, well, I mean, we don't think often past our own boardroom, and teachers don't think past their classroom, or our bus drivers don't necessarily think past their bus. We just sort of get siloed sometimes in what we do every day and don't realize that we're part of something so much bigger. And I know I heard one teacher say, he said, "I understand I'm the tip of the spear, but what I forget often is there's so much support behind me." And so just for our teachers to know how many people support them each and every day and the jobs that they do to make sure our students get to school on time and that they're fed well and that our classrooms are clean. It's amazing work that our district does, and we appreciate each and every person in the district. And so I did want to say one more thing that I meant to say earlier, that this was something I told someone at convocation today I would mention. She was asking how she could get a message out, and so she teaches Spanish at Ames Community College, and it's available to our teachers. And she wanted me to let everyone know that that's available if we have teachers that want to learn Spanish. And these are not our Spanish teachers, but all of our other teachers that might want to learn Spanish and better communicate with their students. That is available, and we'll get. If you have questions about that, well, you can contact someone here at the district office because I've lost the information. That's all I have for tonight, and we are now on to our work session report. So Ms. Lemon, will you give us our work session report?
The work session began with an overview of upcoming events and board engagement opportunities. Legal counsel Nathan Fall led the board in a discussion about proposed Colorado Association of School Boards legislative resolutions. The work session ended with an opportunity for board members to provide comments and reports.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Next on our agenda tonight is a proclamation for UNC Week in District 6. And this is an action item that will need a motion to move forward.
Sorry, getting to the right place. I move that the Board of Education of Greeley Evans School District 6 adopts the proclamation declaring October 9 through October 13th, 2023 as UNC Week in District 6.
Second.
Thank you both. Before we go any further, Ms. Mash, would you read that proclamation for us?
Yes, and I am proud to be a UNC School of Nursing graduate, class of 2002. All right. Of the proclamation of the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6, UNC Week in District 6, October 9 through October 15th, 2023. Whereas the University of Northern Colorado, UNC, has been located in the heart of Greeley since the university's founding in 1889, and whereas UNC is among the top public universities in the United States and is particularly renowned for its College of Education and Behavioral Sciences, which produces some of the best teachers, principals, and administrators in the nation. And whereas the University of Northern Colorado is Weld County's institution of higher education and provides an excellent, affordable, and accessible education to hundreds of District 6 graduates every year. And whereas Many hundreds of UNC graduates have gone on to work in District 6 schools and offices. And whereas the University of Northern Colorado and Greeley-Evans School District 6 engage in a robust partnership that greatly benefits both institutions. And whereas UNC's annual homecoming week for 2023 begins on Monday, October 9th and runs through Sunday, October 15th, 2023. And whereas it is appropriate that our school district help recognize, celebrate, and support opportunities for quality higher education for our students and community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 declares October 9, 2023 through October 15th, 2023 to be recognized as UNC Week in District 6, and that district staff and students be encouraged to wear UNC apparel that week and to proudly display bear flags, pennants, and banners at their homes, schools, and offices during homecoming week. Given under my hand and the executive seal of the Weld County School District 6 this 25th day of September, Mr. Michael Matthews, President.
Thank you, Ms. Mash. Before we open this up for comment from board members, Dr. Pilch, is there anything you would like to say?
Thank you, President Matthews. We have with us this evening Mr. Pete Lean, the Associate President for Enrollment Management at UNC, to accept this proclamation. And then I would like to ask Pete to stay just a little bit longer because I do want to recognize UNC tonight on the Superintendent's Honor Roll. And so, would you like to share a few comments now?
Sure, I'm happy to. So for your nursing program, we just moved up 86 spots. We're number 112 out of like 656 in the country, so that's exciting. And number 78 out of our graduate programs for nursing in the country. So I wanted to share that with you since you're a proud alum. We carry a shared responsibility being a part of District 6, and we take that seriously at the University of Northern Colorado. And so we proudly accept the proclamation that aligns with our homecoming. And we're thrilled to be able to continue this relationship and partner with District 6 and Evans Schools as we think about what it means to create accessibility to education. And that's not just at UNC, that's to our two-year community colleges, to certificates and licensure programs, to professional degrees that allow students to better their lives. And so as we look at this partnership, it's a mutually beneficial partnership, one that I think we spent a lot of time thinking about in the last couple of years. And I want to share some of that information with you all that we're really proud of and that I think is a testament to the relationship we have with District 6. As we look at this incoming class in fall 2023, we had a 3% increase to new first-time students. That's the first time that's happened since 2016, and we're excited about that. When we look at District 6 in particular, that really bodes well for Weld County. Obviously being one of the largest metropolitan areas in Weld County, the largest metropolitan area in Weld County, we saw a 22% increase for students enrolling from Weld County. And when we look at numbers from 2021 through 2023, we saw a 60% increase of students enrolling at UNC from District 6 alone. 50% increase in our Hispanic and Latinx students. The majority of our students, over 50% of our students enrolling at UNC, 53% to be exact, identify as Hispanic or Latinx. We're not quite to the 63% that District 6 represents, but we're proud to be making increases year over year, and this sits very well with, I think, a shared responsibility of becoming a Hispanic serving institution. That is something the university is seeking. It's a federal designation. It benefits all students, but primarily focuses on a majority population here in District 6 that we really want to make sure we're serving better. And so these are things that I believe bode really well. And in partnership with our Heritage Month, Latin Heritage Month, we have Adelante happening this Saturday. Adelante was put on the last couple of years to really support our Spanish-speaking families, first-generation families, in identifying the college process. As we all know, there isn't an easy way to translate FAFSA. There isn't an easy way to translate federal student unsubsidized and subsidized loans, and what do they mean? We have to make that digestible and accessible for our students, and we need to partner on that. And so we're hosting events that not only benefit the university, but we hope benefit the community. And I think that is something that UNC, President Feinstein, Enrollment Services take seriously, and we look forward to continuing that partnership. And so I share those kind of points of pride with your convocation and the pride that you felt with 22,000 students. 22,000 students being taught every day in our classrooms here in District 6 is impressive. And when you add the 9,000 students at UNC, we got basic math here, right? We got 31,000 students in our community. And it's our responsibility to create access to that education. So I'm proud to be a part of that and honored to accept that proclamation.
Well, Well, thank you so much for being here tonight, and we may have some comments from board members, or questions from board members, and we do have one, at least from Ms. Pappas.
Thank you for being here tonight, Pete. It's really an honor to have you come and accept this. I don't know how many people realize that you also were awarded the Educator of the Year at the Greeley Dream Team breakfast. So we're just grateful that you are part of this community and here to support our students. So just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Campos-Spitzy.
Yeah, just want to echo the gratitude for what UNC is doing for our D6 students. And I got to say, I drive on 11th Ave to get to work, and seeing the osos with the sarapes just fills my heart every day during Hispanic Heritage Month.
Absolutely.
Ms. Mash.
Yeah, I would thank you as well for being here. I did receive an excellent education, and the nursing program has always been top-notch at UNC, and I'm still practicing here in Greeley. But as a parent, I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity for all of our students. But both of my students have gotten to do concurrent enrollment through UNC, and my daughter also has benefited from the music program and all of the different camps and clinics and things. So yeah, it is a blessing to this community in so many different ways, and so we're so thankful for this partnership.
And I would just add, we greatly appreciate the partnership that we have with UNC. As an organization that employs teachers, we appreciate what you do, and we know firsthand the quality of teachers that are being produced at UNC. And so we couldn't be more grateful for the relationship that we have, and we couldn't be more excited to honor you and this university here tonight. So with that, Ms. Lemon, will you give us a vote, please?
Director Bentley?
Aye.
Director Campos-Spitzy?
Aye.
Director Mash?
Aye.
Director Matthews?
Aye.
Director Norwood?
Aye.
Director Pappas?
Aye.
Director Sullivan?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon.
Oh, I got to actually take
Next on our agenda tonight, we have another proclamation, and this one is for National Principals Month. And this is also an action item that will need a motion.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 adopts a resolution declaring October as National Principals Month as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. Before we go any further with this proclamation, Ms. Pappas, will you read the proclamation for us?
I would love to read the proclamation. National Principals Month, October 2023. Whereas school leaders are expected to be educational visionaries, instructional leaders, assessment experts, disciplinarians, community builders, public relations experts, budget analysts, facility managers, special programs administrators, and guardians of various legal, contractual, and policy mandates and initiatives, as well as being entrusted with our young people, our most valuable asset. And whereas principals set the academic tone for their schools and work collaboratively with teachers to develop and maintain high curriculum standards, develop mission statements, and set performance goals and objectives. And whereas the vision, dedication, and determination of a principal provides the mobilizing force behind any school reform effort. And whereas leadership is second only to classroom instruction among all school-related factors that contribute to what students learn at school, according to research conducted by the Wallace Foundation. And whereas the celebration of National Principals Month honors elementary, K-8, middle level, and high school principals, and recognizes the importance of school leadership, is ensuring that every child has access to a high-quality education. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 does hereby declare October 2023 as National Principals Month. Given under my hand and the executive seal of Weld County School District 6, this 25th day of September 2023, Mr. Michael Matthews, President.
Thank you, Ms. Pappas. Again, before we open this up for discussion from board members, Dr. Pilch, is there anything you would like to say about this proclamation?
Well, I will just say that our principals who are in attendance tonight nominated their colleague, Ingrid Delahaye, to accept this proclamation. I think it's because Ingrid is retiring from us this year. And so I would like Ingrid to be able to come forward and maybe share a few words and hear comments from you all on behalf of her colleagues, not only here in the room, but also throughout the district. And I love this proclamation. Leadership matters. I didn't realize how much the building principal mattered truly when I was one. I didn't realize it really, how significant the job was, I suppose. I was naive about that. And then once I supervised principals and I saw the difference across building to building, leadership matters. And it matters who we have as leaders. And we're certainly proud of the group of leaders that we have here. And one of the things that you all mentioned during my evaluation was how well we have done at promoting leaders from within and preparing assistant principals to be principals, preparing teachers to be instructional coaches or assistant principals, instructional coaches to be APs, and then APs to be principals. And sometimes they even want to come over here and work at the district office down the road. But I would like Ingrid to get to say a few words. She has been in our system a long time and had several roles and is truly an outstanding principal.
Well, what an honor. Thank you so much. After hearing that list, Miss Pappas, I'm in awe of what we do every day.
Right?
But we are just incredibly honored that you are honoring us in this way to have this proclamation for National Principals Month. And it's such a pleasure to be able to serve the staff and students of District 6 in this leadership capacity. I too am proud to be a UNC Bear. So it's just so incredible, and we're just so honored that you're allowing us this proclamation, and I thank you from the colleagues and from all of us, so thank you very much.
Don't go anywhere just yet. Any questions or comments from board members? Oh, or for students? Richard, is that you? I don't have your name. I just have student 1. So, Richard, go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, I would also like to say thank you very much. As a student myself, I feel like a lot of us don't know just how much hard work our principals put into our schools, because I feel like they're the head and the leader that make everything run in each school. And like, I went to Jackson Elementary myself, and as a young student, I guess I didn't know, but I really like that school, so thank you very much. And also to my principal at my school, Union Colony, Carrie Leffler, I also like to say thank you to her, and also every principal out there for the hard work you guys put in. Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Mesh.
I just wanted to add to this long list of all of the things that our principals do. When my daughter was in kindergarten, she got to use her Pride tickets for a special reward, and she chose having lunch with the principal. And I just thought that was such a wonderful opportunity, and she had a great time, and they had a wonderful conversation. But, you know, I guess maybe it's just in like storybooks or whatever, you know, the principal's the scary person down the hall, but I think our principals know our students, and our students know and love and know that that person is totally in their corner. I actually met some students who go to Brentwood, and I was listing off the names of the principals, and she just got wide. She's like, do you go there? You know them? And so I just think that you all are celebrities in the eyes of our students as well, and I appreciate the time you take to get to have those relationships as well.
Ms. Pappas.
I just have one thing to add to your list that wasn't on the list. I think what is very powerful and what some people don't realize is just the importance that building leaders have in the lives of their children and relationships. I think that when we go to school visits and we're walking down the hall and kids are doing whatever they're doing in the hall and coming up and hugging their principals and just being engaged, just that relationship building. Because what we do know, you all know, principals know, that really no significant learning happens without a significant relationship. And I do think that that could be added to your list of items. But thank you so much for accepting this award tonight, Ingrid. And good luck this year, and we'll miss you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Campos-Spitzy.
So piggybacking on what Terry Pappas just said, one of the things during negotiations this year that stood out to me that one of our principals spoke about, as a principal, you know that you tend to get some of those kids who get in trouble in the classroom, right? They get they get sent to the principal's office. And this principal who was sharing with us at negotiations shared with us that sometimes the principal knows things about that student's background, some tragedy that they just went through in their life that not even the classroom teacher may know about because of confidentiality reasons. And they have to sit in this space of deciding what's the right thing to do for that child, right? Like, is the right thing to do to send them home when you already know what their home situation is? So I just appreciated principals, but when I heard that side of your job, I just thought you guys were just heroes in our district. So thank you for what you've done and continue to do, and for all of you guys.
I'll just add, I think our principals are probably the most unsung heroes in our district. You guys are the people who are our culture, the culture creators for the buildings that you administer, and you make it so that teachers either want to be in the building, they enjoy what they do, that they find satisfaction and joy in doing what they're obviously called to do, or that's a struggle. And we have some fantastic principals in this district, and we are so fortunate to have not just you guys who are sitting here tonight, but so many great principals in this district. And we appreciate the work that you do every day, and just how hard that job is and how long you work. And we couldn't be more proud of that work that you do. So with that, Ms. Lemon, will you give us a vote, please?
Director Bentley?
Aye.
Director Campos-Spitzy?
Aye.
Director Mash?
Aye.
Director Matthews?
Aye.
Director Norwood?
Aye.
Director Pappas?
Aye.
Director Sullivan?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. I have a proclamation for you, Ingrid. Next on our agenda tonight is a reception of the McGuffey Award from Colorado Association of School Boards for our Vice President, Ms. Terry Pappas. And so I don't think this requires any action from us, but because you are a CASB representative, Ms. Mash, would you explain what the McGuffey Award is and maybe why we nominated Ms. Pappas for this award?
Absolutely. So the CASB, or the Colorado Association of School Boards, gives the opportunity for each school district or Board of Education to nominate a board member who brings commitment and passionate service to their board work. And as you may know, Vice President Terry Pappas is finishing her 8th year serving on the Greeley Evans School Board. During her tenure, she has proven to be an exceptional leader. She served as the vice president of the board for 6 years and the co-chair for 2 successful mill levy override campaigns. Additionally, she was instrumental in the passage of our $395 million bond issue. And she's also served as the board representative for the Council of Student Representatives and the District Accountability Committee. And I'm sure over the 8 years, there's many other things, but these are the things that I highlighted when nominating her. And then I'll just speak personally. As Terry mentioned, she was not a cheerleader, and I wasn't. And just oftentimes, Terry is the very calming presence for me. She brings a calm presence to the board. I think everyone kind of leans in when Terry's about to speak because they know that they're going to learn something new or be encouraged to look at something from a different perspective. Terry is especially passionate for all members of our community, and especially for the students who may need additional support. She frequently asks how whatever we're talking about can be made more equitable, and she truly embodies the district motto of all means all. She's proven to be an invaluable asset, sort of an insider perspective, as she was a principal and a classroom teacher, and her career in the district for 30 years. When Dr. Pilch asked people to stand up who have worked their entire career here in District 6, Terry was one of those folks. At every school visit and really anywhere I've ever been with Terry, somebody knows her and somebody gives her a big hug and says, "You taught me, you taught my children, you taught even my grandchildren, maybe." They are just, it's a whole family affair. And then, you know, if this wasn't enough to serve our students as a teacher and then on the board for 8 years, Terry is also the founder and executive director of Save a Community, a nonprofit founded by former educators that focuses on early childhood literacy and oral language development. Terry has also served on the board of the Dream Team. And so Terry goes to everything. Terry is everywhere. Terry is supporting Dr. Pilch. She's supporting all of our the board members. And the three words that come to mind for me, for Terry, are wisdom, compassion, and dedication. And so I was so pleased to get to nominate her for the McGuffey Award. They actually presented at the regional meetings, which we didn't attend. So they're going to send the actual, like, she gets a little pin, I think gets an apple, and a certificate. But 3 cheers for Terry Pappas.
Thank you, Natalie. I really appreciate those kind words. And it is really quite an honor to receive this award. You don't really think about receiving awards when you just come and do what you do. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, congratulations, Ms. Pappas. That is well deserved.
Thank you.
And we'll move right on to our next item on our agenda, and that is our superintendent's honor roll. So Dr. Pilch, I will hand this over to you.
Thank you, President Matthews. I thought it was fitting to recognize the University of Northern Colorado tonight in the superintendent's honor roll. So I'm glad that Pete hung around with us so that he can hear what I have to say about UNC. I was so excited to hear your comments about all that we do together. But I will tell you that there's no doubt that UNC is our most significant institution for educators in District 6. There's no question about it. When I meet with new teachers annually, I have them raise their hand and ask how many of you went to UNC, and easily 2/3 of the room went to UNC. And most of our teachers pursue their master's degrees at UNC and their other higher ed degrees, and we just are so fortunate for the partnership. We partner with UNC, as you know, with our advancement via individual determination program, and they host us for a day out there, and their students and their staff present to our students, helping our students begin to understand FAFSA and what it means to go to college. And the parents have a parent session that is run alongside that on that Saturday in the winter typically. We partner with Cumbres. We have an exchange teacher right now, Phil Nance. That's why I called you Phil a minute ago. Sorry, Pete. Phil Nance, who is a Greeley Central High School teacher, who's actually teaching science at UNC right now. And so he's getting that experience of teaching in higher ed. And then we have 3 UNC professors coming over to Greeley Central teaching 3 higher level electives where students are earning concurrent enrollment in those classes. They've been a partner with us in trying to solve really the teacher shortage issue that we face. We've worked with UNC to allow student teachers to actually take the classroom. We had some of your practicum students with us today, even at our convocation. It was really fun to have them there as well. Their athletics programs have supported and sponsored our students. They'll do a day in the winter with basketball where we'll be able to bring all of our middle school students over to watch a basketball game and to be a part of that arena. Recently, they had a District 6 night at the Women's UNC volleyball game. I had an opportunity to be a part of that evening and to hear District 6 be honored that night. So they truly do embrace us and see us as a part of this, really this pre-K-20 institution that we have here together. We also have many of our staff, I think Jill has and Ingrid both have participated in the Toynton Institute for School Leadership that also is run through the University of Northern Colorado. And so we're just so grateful. I've talked a lot about being grateful today at the convocation, but I'm grateful for UNC, and I want to share this number with you all and with you, Pete. 550 students last year from District 6 high schools earned 1,864 credits from UNC in concurrent enrollment. I mean, yeah, that's a great number. It is, yeah, it is. And I was especially excited to hear you talk about the tremendous increase in numbers of students you have coming from District 6. We've worked really hard to better prepare students for college. And, you know, we all talk about remediation rate and worry about that remediation rate. I just want to share with you all and remind you that in 2020, our remediation rate going to higher ed, all higher education institutions, we had 42.9% of the students who we sent to higher ed. And about 45% of our students that year went to post-secondary. And 42.9% of them needed remediation. The following year, in 2021, only 23.4% of those students needed remediation. And I really believe we're seeing that 83% improvement because the numbers of kids who are taking current enrollment in high school. They're getting that higher level of rigor, and they're better prepared for college when they get there. And we all hear the stories from our students who say that the opportunities they had in taking college courses really were the opportunities that got them ready. Most of these 550 students are accessing higher level courses, higher level math courses, higher level science courses, higher level English courses that are not offered in District 6 as part of our traditional course catalog. Sometimes these courses are taught by UNC professors, and sometimes they're taught by our teachers who UNC has endorsed to teach those courses. But we appreciate the partnership, and I appreciate that you are being recognized this month as the Superintendent's Honor Roll honoree at the University of Northern Colorado.
Thank you very much. I was going to add one thing. With concurrent and dual enrollment, this year we saw over 51% of our students are bringing in college credit. Oh, wow. And when we think about that, it's not always necessarily an indicator of being college ready, right? And I think sometimes we look at GPA and test scores and AP courses as a student's ready for college. And I think what we're really looking at UNC, and I hope to partner with D6 on, is really looking to be a student-ready university. And that starts with how we partner at the K through 12 level and identifying the needs of students regardless of their background so that they can be successful at a UNC or an Ames or any other institution, and we're excited to do that. And so to hear all the things that you rattled off on top of everything else reaffirms the partnership that we have in a very positive way. And it's so exciting to see our faculty in your schools and your faculty in our schools. It just really highlights that relationship so well. So excited to be here, and again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you want me to go right into the superintendent's report?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll just keep rolling. And I won't take very long, but I do, we're honoring principals tonight in our proclamation, and, leadership does matter. And so I want to talk just for a moment about our school performance frameworks. We're especially proud of some of our schools that moved up to that highest level of performance. Franklin Middle School moved to performance. Shawsheen Elementary School did. Congratulations, Jill. Martinez Elementary School did, Centennial Elementary School, and Westridge Academy all moved to performance. And then those schools that have maintained at performance, Brentwood Middle School, Prairie Heights Middle School, our Early College Academy, Chapelot Arts Magnet, McAuliffe STEM Academy, Madison Elementary School, University Charter and Frontier and Union Colony Secondary all maintain performance. And so really proud of the achievement here in District 6. And as I said today, we still have work to do. We know we do. We know we still have students to catch up, And we need to have every school at performance, and we believe we can have every school at performance in District 6. And although we've made significant strides in improving student achievement, we still have work to do. And you saw our staff today, and you saw the energy in that Greeley West High School gymnasium, and there is no question that we have the staff in place and the dedication in each of those positions in our district to do the work that we have before us over the next several years. And so with that, I'll just say very quickly, this morning with convocation was truly amazing to bring everybody back together. We haven't brought everyone together since 2019. We do this every few years. It is a huge endeavor. You recognize the communications department, the nutrition services department, our facilities folks, and our IT people. And we just could not have done this without so many people coming away from their regular jobs, coming in on Saturday to get things ready, to test things, to run through. I'm just so very proud of what we're able to do here in District 6. And it was really fun to bring our 2,500 plus employees together and to celebrate them and to recognize them for the amazing work they do here every single day for our students and families. So thank you for being there.
Thank you, Dr. Pilch. Next on our agenda is the Innovation 2030 Goal 1, Student Learning and Achievement Personalized Learning Update. And Dr. Pilch, I will give this back to you to update us on this part of our strategic plan.
Thank you, Dr. Dattery, Assistant Superintendent of Elementaries and K-8s and Academic Achievement, has moved to the podium, along with Dr. Dagan Andrews, our Director of Curriculum and Personalized Learning.
Well, thank you, Superintendent Pilch. I am having just a slight difficulty because it's logged me out, so I might need a little assistance.
We are having some technical difficulties tonight.
I'm so sorry.
Dr. Dattery is fresh off of her daughter's wedding yesterday and has come in tonight to help us with this presentation. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. It was a beautiful wedding, so thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't see it anywhere. All right, now we're back on track. So thank you again, Superintendent Pilch, President Matthews, and members of the board. It is our pleasure. I'm joined by Mr. Dagan Andrews. He's the Director of Curriculum and Personalized Learning, to share with you the work around Student Learning and Achievement Priority 1, and specifically the work of personalized learning. I also want to just give a quick thank you and appreciation to Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick, as he really is working. He is our personalized learning plan facilitator and probably just extraordinaire in all things in this area. And he's done phenomenal work, which you will get to see a bit of a sneak peek around tonight as we share this update with you. So this work is, as we know, brought to you as a part of our strategic plan, Innovation 2030. And it's pretty wonderful to see not only this come to fruition, but it is really grounded in this mission that our Board of Education adopted several years ago around encouraging every student every student in District 6 would engage in a personalized, well-rounded, and excellent education, preparing students to be college and career ready. And this personalized learning plan really sets the stage for all students to be able to really engage in that way. And our values and beliefs, while we believe every one of these is embodied in our personalized learning plans, specifically, we really believe that this one around building that positive relationship with students, families, and communities is really a part of that personalized learning plan, as our students engage and really build that autonomy around their own learning. And also about promoting access, opportunity, and choice, that this personalized learning plan is really encouraging students. What is it that they want to do, and how can they embrace that and really move their own educational journey forward? So with that, knowing that all 4 of these focus areas are part of our strategic plan, again, I share with you that tonight we're really focusing on that student learning and achievement. Goal 1 around providing a personalized learning experience so all students graduate on time and are career and college ready. This objective is really, this work is grounded in around aligning our systems to meet those grade level requirements and graduation competencies now through personalized plans for all students. And there are 3 outcomes associated with this particular goal and objective around scores for 3rd graders in math, English language arts assessment, and actually all of our CMAS scores, increasing on-time graduation rates, and ensuring that personalized learning plans for students will include a career or college pathway and academic course of study so that students meet their individualized goals. So as I shared with you, Mr. Dagan Andrews is joining me, and he's going to get into the work that has happened last year and this year, and what, as I said, a little sneak peek into what this looks like for our students. So thank you, Dagan.
Thank you, Dr. Dadry. I really appreciate the introduction, and it's super exciting for me tonight to be able to share the vision that she just presented and how that's come together in this concrete way in terms of personalized learning plans. Before I show you, though, I'd like to talk about the work we've engaged in last year and the work ahead. And so last year in 2022, 2023, we have about 2,000 students who are actively involved with their personalized learning plans. And this has been implemented in 5 of our elementary schools at 1 grade level in each of those schools. We've also implemented in all of our high schools, and so at least 1 classroom in every single one of our high schools, they are implementing as well. And last year, we implemented a dashboard, a profile, portfolio, and goal setting with our students. And so we're super excited about what we received from student feedback from that. And then for this next year, this upcoming year, we're really excited about the next step as we move forward with this plan. And so I'm gonna show you our middle school dashboard that we're excited to roll out this fall, and also a pathway explorer that goes along with that, and then elementary goal setting will be part of it as well. One thing we know that's so critically important for our students, if they're gonna have a sense of belonging, is they need a place where they feel seen. And so one of the things that we've done in order to do that is we've created a profile page so students can really get into and talk about who they are, what's important to them, what are their passions, interests, hobbies, what schools might they want to go to post-secondary, what are their maybe CTE goals, things like that. And so this is an opportunity for them to share with the important educators and their families what's so important to them in their lives. And think about this as an educator, where even before a student walks through your door, you can already see what's important to them, what matters to them, and start thinking about how to build a relationship. We also know that students need a place to connect their interests, passions, and dreams to their life path. And so in order to do that, what we've implemented is this pathway finder. And so what students are going to be doing is taking a survey that identifies their aptitudes and abilities and interests. And then from there, it'll actually pick out their top 3 career clusters that they're interested in. And so it'll narrow that focus for them. And then from there, they'll be able to explore with the pathway finder. They'll be able to look at all the different courses that they would take to have to fulfill a career pathway. So they can look in what exactly their 4-year plan would outline as they go through their high school career. And so when they see those required courses, like you see in front of you in the P-TECH program, they will also have a piece to this plan where they can sit down and start actually plotting out with their families, with counselors, and start actually saying, what am I gonna do for my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year as a total plan, 4-year plan of study when they enter high school. This is actually the middle school dashboard, so students would be working through this during their middle school years, looking at 8th grade. And so you see the dashboard here, where on the right side, you see it'll populate the career clusters that they have identified as their areas of interest. You'll also see that they see their attendance, and they also see their current GPA. And then down below, you see a further breakdown of each of those pieces in terms of the core content areas and electives, and they can see their real-time grades on that dashboard as well. The other piece to this that's critically important as they progress through their career and on their path is to know where are they in relation to their path and graduation. And so what you have in front of you now is the actual high school dashboard that students will see. So you see their GPA, you see their credits earned, you also see how many credits they need in order to graduate. You also see if they're on track or off track on their graduation path, and then they also see their attendance as well. But also critical for high school students isn't just the credits they've earned, but making sure that they have credits in the right courses. So they need 4 years of ELA, they need 3 years of math. And so that's displayed here as well, so they can see how they're accumulating those over time. I think one of the most incredible moments for Ryan and I, when we were in a high school classroom, it was an Avid classroom at Central, and a student popped up their dashboard, and she leaned over and talked to her classmate and said, I can finally see what I need to do in order to graduate. And so that clarity was just so rewarding for us as we listened to that conversation. We also know that students need to goal set. It's a powerful tool to goal set with students in terms of improving their academic performance and make sure they're on track to make sure they reach their dreams. And so there's also a development of this goal setting tool. And so they will have an academic goal for the year that they will put in, a post-secondary goal, and then also an interest goal for the school year as well. And then from there, they will actually start writing in tasks and goals aligned to those 3 goals that they have set. And then you see the upcoming goals on the far left. And what they're doing there is putting in all those different tasks they need to do. Once they start working on them, it goes to the middle. They'll pull that over as in progress. And then they'll also get those completed tasks on the far right column that they move once they've actually completed those tasks. And so from here, I'm going to take it back to Stacy.
Thank you, Dagan. So as you can see, as I shared with you earlier, there are several outcomes associated with this particular goal area. And the first one is is that by 2026, 90% of students will graduate on time. As you can see, our graduation rate has steadily increased from 2015 to 2022. We are still waiting to get our final graduation rate for 2023. We're close, but we will get that, as you know, about mid-year every year. So we'll get that to you as soon as we have that. And you can see that our personalized learning plans really are a strategy, and what Dagan just shared with you, to continue to make progress toward this goal by providing that real-time data for each and every student and making sure that they are goal setting, students are goal setting and helping them to stay on track to get to this graduation success, really, and celebration for them, which then increases this number as a whole. The second is actually broken out into 2 parts where we look at our outcome by 2027. It says 75% of students will be at approaching or higher on state assessments in English language arts, with most students meeting or exceeding state expectations. And what you can see in general here, let me orient you to the graph. The top 2, the dark green in, say, 3rd grade is at 26%, and then that lighter green at 18%, and I'm again looking at that 3rd grade bar. That is the approaching or higher top 2 areas, with most students you want to see in that very top green. And so what you can see is that in 3rd grade, 44% of our students are at approaching or above on the number of students reaching that same threshold by 61, and they're at 61% by 8th grade. So you can really see that we are on track to reach our goal of 75% at approaching or higher on the English language arts assessment by that 2027 timeline. And that the longer our students are with us, the more they are gaining that proficiency and getting better in their years. We have some work to do, as Dr. Pilch said earlier, and we are, our teachers and students are working very hard. And by 2030, then this 3rd one, around 70% of students will be at approaching or higher on state assessments in math, with most students meeting or exceeding, again, state expectations. Again, the bar graph reads very similarly, and there is a very similar trend with our state math data, with 44% of students meeting, approaching, or better in 3rd grade, and then 61% this year meeting that threshold in the 8th grade. So sharing with you this past year's 2023 CMAS data in both ELA and math. And so the idea behind that, what's that one next thing that we can help in supporting our students, and really that our students having that autonomy over their own learning, engaging, seeing that what they do matters, and how they see their path in what they want to do in their personalized plan, supports our students and our educators in meeting their own personal outcomes and measures as they have shared them. So there are a few next steps. What does this work mean for us as we move forward then in achieving the work that we know we need to do with students? And Dagan's going to share with you just what that looks like and a few bullets.
Thanks, Stacy. Yeah, and so finishing up in terms of the work that we're doing, I do want to say that the work is, we're not expanding it to all. We wanted to start small, make sure we get it right, get feedback from students so we make sure everything works, everything is populating, and it is visually appealing to students, they understand it. And so we've started small, but we're going to continue to implement and test those features in those schools. And we are looking at next fall, really going to full implementation in grades 2 through 12. And so we'll be working side by side with our educators in our schools to help support them with that third bullet and build their capacity to develop high quality plans with students to make sure that our educators feel comfortable with the platform and what it entails, and they know how to partner and support them with things like goal setting and everything else we talked about. Thank you.
Thank you both, and thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate, especially Dr. Dattery, you coming in from a wedding, and congratulations. I don't know if we have any questions or comments from board members. They're starting to come in now, and I think Ms. Mash is first.
Well, thank you for that presentation. I am very excited about this part, this bullet point, I guess, just the personalized learning plans. I was just curious, maybe you said, what is the name of the platform or the dashboard that we're using? And then my other question is, who will be helping the students set this up? Will it be their primary teacher, or will it be sort of around registration?
Yeah, right now we're calling it personalized learning plans. I don't know if we've really landed on an exact name of what we want to call it. We've talked about a number of different things, but we're going to get feedback from folks to see what makes the most sense.
But it is an internal platform.
Yeah.
It is an internally built platform.
Okay,
Yes.
so our teams just developed
Correct.
it and made it, well, that's very cool. Then
That
it
is
can
very
do
cool.
exactly what we want it to do.
Correct.
Yep, absolutely. And so then it is working with our classroom teachers, and we see it really being a part of their entire day. So in math class, setting goals around what they're doing. If you think about an elementary student setting goals of, right now they're reading 70 words per minute, and maybe by the end of the semester they need to get to 100. And so setting goals like that to help support them along the way. And so we also see this as a powerful tool to be able to have during parent-teacher conferences to have those conversations and put data in front of families as well.
Dr. Campos-Spitzy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say what a cool tool. You know, it's just really visual, which I just really appreciate. And what a way to give kids and families, as they go through K through 12, just a way to take ownership. And, you know, that comment that you overheard that student saying, like, I can see where I'm going now. I'm not just taking classes willy-nilly and, you know, just tracking that progress. I think a lot of our kids, or even all of us now that we're all on electronics and stuff, we love tracking our progress, right? We love seeing that bar inch forward. So what a cool tool to just capture that and engage families and students in their success.
I think both of our students have a comment. And I'm not sure who was first, maybe Richard?
I just like to say I really love this. Like I can't even put into words how much I love like what you're doing here, because it really makes it a lot clearer and a lot easier. And I think with what you're doing with the goal settings, with having students being seen of who they are and what they do and what they're interested in, like all of this, I think is so amazing, and I hope that everyone can benefit from it, because if I had this tool, I think I would definitely use it and would definitely benefit from it. And I guess one question is then, when do you think this could possibly be fully rolled out, in which it'll be in our district?
Yeah. So we're really looking at the end of the next academic year. So we'll be continuing to work and roll it out. And then next year is when we're going to go district-wide. It won't be all at once, but it will be next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tyler, you also had a comment.
So I was one of the few that was lucky enough to be able to use this last year in my class. And it was really nice being able to see not only the progress that I was making with my credits, but as well as the goals. We've used multiple programs and websites to set goals like this before, but we never really visited them again. Maybe every few years, but with the personalized learning plan, I was checking my credits almost every day. And it was really nice to be able to see those goals, be reminded of what I'm working towards, and it was just a really nice motivator. So, thank you for that. Thank you.
Ms. Sullivan. Yep. Ms. Sullivan. Mr. Norwood, thank you.
Right there. Is that better? Okay. Is this program accessible for students at home or only on school campus?
It will be acceptable both home and, yeah.
Okay, so if you have students that are opening it up at home to share with their parents, are they able to like change the language so, you know, your non-English speaking parents can be reading it, accessing it, and understand where the progress is on their kids?
So we don't have that functionality at this point, but it's definitely something that we want to have inside of the program as well.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to echo what Richard said. I really, 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 really love this. But for a little bit different reason, not just the tool and the website where kids can track their progress, but I love the fact that we are helping our middle school and our elementary students think about what they're going to do. And I think it's so important for us as a district to be able to connect our students, their future dreams and their future hopes to what they're doing today. And I think that makes them so much more successful. And so we're so excited to see this. I'm so excited to see this. And thank you guys, not just for being here tonight and making the presentation, but for all the work that's gone in to this specifically so that we actually have, every student can have a personalized learning plan and know what they need to do, not only to graduate, but what they need to do or what they might want to do to look at what their gifts are, what their interests are, and have a direction for that. It's so exciting. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much. I just have to tell you that this is why I came back. This is the work we love to do, and to hear you talk about that, thank you. Thank you for that. And I also want to share that we're in a unique place. The reason, I loved your question, Natalie, Ms. Mash, because we can't just go purchase this anywhere. We had to develop this in-house to do the functionality that we need, and that we need it to be accessible for every single family. And so we're working toward making sure that happens, and just doing all of this very thoughtfully and make sure it's what we know we need it to be for every single student, K to 12, and then make sure that it is accessible. So thank you for your questions. Thank you for your support. We appreciate you all and being able to get to do this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is our public participation. As a board, we welcome the comments of community members, and we dedicate a portion of each business meeting to provide an opportunity for the community to present brief comments. All speakers are limited to 2 minutes for comments. Our board members typically do not engage in discussion or provide an immediate response, but we will ask district staff to respond as appropriate. Written testimony or speaker handouts must be submitted to the board secretary, Ms. Amy Lemon, not to individual board members. This board is committed to providing a safe environment where all members of the school community are treated with dignity and respect, and we expect all speakers to exercise their speech rights responsibly. Speakers are responsible for their own speech, and speakers' remarks must be suitable for an audience that includes kindergarten through 12th grade students. Anyone who disturbs order may be required to sit down or to leave the boardroom. We ask all speakers and those in attendance to conduct themselves in a dignified and non-disruptive manner. Cheering, snapping, clapping, and other distractions are not allowed during or upon completion of any public comment. With that read, our first speaker tonight is Ms. Stacy Castillo. Thank you for being here, Ms. Castile. You'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed listening about the remedial rates and how the schools have improved or maintained. I actually was asked to mention a story. A parent came to me, actually a former district parent, that they moved out of district, or they would have come to speak themselves, but they know the district's stance on letting people speak who do not live inside of the district. But they wanted to point out that they felt like they had been led astray for the last couple of years. Their students got satisfactory on all of their report cards. And now that that student is in a different school, they are failing. And it's been such a dramatic turnaround for the student that instead of this being their favorite subject, it is now their most hated subject. They said that they did not feel comfortable sending an email of any type because they felt like that just allowed the board to sweep it under the rug and not truly bring the attention to it that they want to have it brought. So definitely glad that remedial rates are declining, but it looks like maybe some of our younger kiddos still need a little bit of attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Castile. Next tonight, we have Ms. Maria Foster. Thank you for being here, Ms. Foster. You'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Superintendent Pilch, members of the board, student representatives. I had the pleasure 2 weeks ago of listening to the presentation made by the staff and students of the new CTE Center, and it was clear that they were all just really excited about what was going on there. And I remember the young man enrolled in the construction program just bubbling over with enthusiasm. And he said a couple of times, "This is a blessing. This is a blessing." And it made me think about my mom, who grew up as the 7th of 9 children, growing up on a farm, a dryland farm in the midst of the Depression and the Dust Bowl. And her older brothers, her father died when she was 11. Her older brothers and sisters only completed 8th grade because the only high school was in town, and there was no reliable transportation from the countryside into town. But when she was ready to start high school, her family arranged to rent a room in a private home in town so that she could attend high school during the week and then go home to the farm on the weekends. And this enabled her to graduate high school as valedictorian of her class. But it still took her 9 years before she was able to graduate from the Colorado Teachers College with a certificate in teaching and pursue her life stream of being an elementary school teacher. And those 9 years are a testament to her talent and her hard work and her grit and perseverance. But I can't help thinking that if she hadn't had that first opportunity to go to high school, I don't know that any amount of hard work would have gotten her to her goal. So I want to congratulate the board and the district for providing those opportunities, because I think our district is full of talented, hardworking students who may just need that opportunity to get them started on the path to achieving their life streams. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Next tonight, we have Ms. Ellen Foster. Welcome, Ms. Ellen Foster. Thank you for being here tonight. You'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you, and also a shout out to my mom, who is the same as her mom. I also was very excited to hear about the dashboard and the goal setting. My son was just mainstreamed at his neighborhood school through elementary school, and when he went to middle school, he transferred over to the university schools of the deaf and hard of hearing program. And at the first conference, one of their big portfolio issues that we went through was setting a goal, and his goal was to have a goal by the end of the year. So what I signed up, to speak on was book challenges. I was scrolling through my news feed on the internet, as one does, and came across a posting about a woman who had opted her child, not a District 6 person, who had opted her child out of checking out a book, but then she wanted the book removed from the classroom shelf because she was very afraid of what might happen if her child were exposed to that book. And my initial thought was, well, do you not have confidence in yourself and in your children? I know with my children, I tried very hard to instill a core set of values in them that they have lived by. Those have evolved over time, but I do not feel like I had to micromanage and be afraid of their being exposed to other values. John Green, the author, said it better than I could. He said, if you have a worldview that can be undone by a book, I will submit that the problem is not with the book.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Next tonight, we have Ms. Sonia Miller. Welcome, Ms. Miller. You have 2 minutes.
The time has arrived to stop playing games. We can no longer be quiet, superficial, or vain. Our world is toxic. They want us all dead. They work really hard to keep us misled. They're spraying our skies, modifying our food, dumping waste in our water while discontent's brewed. Those shots that they give us are loaded with venom, and now they've been updated. Can you feel the momentum? They prey on our weakness, our trauma and fear, and then use it against us so that we'll adhere. How dare they tell us vaccines are required? They know after shots, sudden death has transpired. What kind of psychopath just carries on, recommending these shots and promulgating this con? I wonder if those who administered shots have gone to the website that compares all the lots. Howbadismybatch.com can be checked to research the lot numbers and lives that were wrecked. You can search it by zip code, by ailment, or by brand. It will make you so angry when you understand the release of this weapon was part of the plan. In Event 201, put on by Johns Hopkins, they practiced the outbreak, the shots, and the lock-ins. The timing was perfect. Bill Gates was involved. Most likely to get population growth solved. Just ask Dr. Brenda, who was given her master's by Bloomberg and Hopkins, those murderous bastards. But back to my point.
Ms. Miller.
There isn't much time. The last bells of freedom have started to chime. A dark winter is coming. Know how not to freeze. Prepare for your family and probably zombies. Or FEMA will feed you and provide room and board. They'll be sending a text out on October the 4th. They've been working real close with the FCC, using energy weapons they're calling 5G. 18 gigahertz pulsed at 1 minute each, 3 times in a row, is said to unleash the Marburg inside of the shots they released. We should all be invested in destroying these towers so the people we love don't succumb to these powers. It may be too late, in which case I will say, so long as there's love here, I'll live for the day, and our soul carries on, no matter how life was played. I want you to know that you're murdering people. Brenda Campos Spitzy and Natalie Mash.
Miller. Next tonight, we have Miss Angelica Weiss.
Hi, I'll just keep it really brief. I just noticed that since the campaign has started, you guys aren't wearing your pride pins anymore. I just thought that was kind of curious. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Weiss. Next tonight, we have Mr. Steve Teets. Welcome, Mr. Teets. Thank you for being here, and you'll have 2 minutes.
For the record, my name is Steve Teets. I'm in Greeley. I've come a few times too about this issue about the students riding the Greeley Evans Transit, and and they've been like sardines, put in like sardines, overcapacity. I talked to the Greeley Evans Transit, talked to City Council about that, I talked to you about that. I even talked to the Evans City Council about it. It's getting worse and worse. You also eventually will have more students. You're overpopulated at the present time, what I understand, 22,000 students. That's quite a bit of students. And we're gonna have more if they don't close the border. I just believe that something needs to be done. And we need a solution because it's gonna get worse. It doesn't help the children, doesn't help the bus driver, it doesn't help people in the community that want to ride the bus. And also too, that there was two candidates who was running for the board mentioned about transportation. I was at that meeting. And one of them said about their child when they got home, and that they didn't say anything much good about the Greeley transit bus system from going to school to home. I think we need to do something. I don't like to be like this, but if we don't, by the end of October, I'm going to the Colorado Department of Transportation, because we've been dealing with this for at least 10 years and nothing's been done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teets. Next tonight, we have Mr. Russ Doty. Welcome, Mr. Doty. Thank you for being here. You'll have 2 minutes.
You're welcome. Good evening. And lots of good news tonight, including in late August, the Colorado Department of Public Health announced it had awarded $21 million to triple the number of electric school buses in Colorado. I may have missed how that was reported or relayed to you, because I was traveling and the District 6 website is a mystery to my 81-year-old brain. But upon return, here's what I found out from the COPERG folks who reported on it and the state of Colorado. All public schools districts that applied received grants. That's doubling the number of districts. And they received them for all the buses they applied for. So District 6 will get $1.3 million for 4 Class A buses and non-solar charging stations. That $275,000 per each smaller type A bus should cover the cost of those buses or most of it. The head of the Colorado grant program was very pleased to get District 6 grant application from Kent Henson and his team, and encourages you all to apply for additional funding when the next round of state funding is announced in early 2024. The state is in the process of developing payment provisions and looks forward to meeting soon with Kent's team before contracts for the buses are finalized. On another note, we visited the Lightning Motors EV manufacturing site in Loveland Saturday. It's large and not in owning stock. I have no conflict of interest in noting the board and staff may find a similar tool useful to support a local industry.
Thank you, Mr. Doty.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of our speakers tonight for being here. Next tonight, we have our consent agenda, and this is an action item, so if someone would be so kind as to make a motion.
I move that the Board of Education of Greeley Evans School District 6 approves items as presented on the consent agenda and authorizes the officers to sign any and all contracts.
Second.
Thank you both. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Ms. Lemon, will you give us a vote, please?
Director Bentley?
Aye.
Director Campos-Fitzy?
Aye.
Director Mash?
Aye.
Director Matthews?
Aye.
Director Norwood?
Aye.
Director Pappas?
Aye.
Director Sullivan?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Next on our agenda is our artificial intelligence information. And so, Dr. Pilch, because this is information, I'll give this over to you to make that presentation.
Thank you, President Matthews, and I see that our informational technology team is making their way to the podium. So I'll just set the stage here a little bit. We've had Mr. Stack come and talk about artificial intelligence. Some of you have asked me questions individually about where we are and what we're doing around artificial intelligence. And so we thought it would be prudent to come before you tonight and give you an update on the work that we have done around artificial intelligence and really what's changed. And it's the piece of this generative artificial intelligence that has really changed things for us, because now AI is generating more than it's ever generated before. But I am old enough, as you all discovered today in the convocation is we realized that 2/3 of the people in the room were not alive when I was a sophomore in high school. But I'm old enough that I was a first-year assistant principal when information around the World Wide Web was just becoming known. And I remember being at a national conference, and Will Daggett, who was known as the paradigm shifter, the futurist, Miss Pappas probably remembers hearing about Will Daggett, was speaking on the stage about this crazy thing called the World Wide Web, and was speaking about how we'd be able to get information from anywhere, all kinds of information, just thinking about a library that is in the sky, and this would come to us electronically on our computers, and that not only would we be able to get this information, but we would be able to communicate with each other through a thing that would be called the internet. And at the time, we had an intranet in all of our school districts where we could email within the district, but you couldn't go out. And so Will Daggett was presenting about this crazy World Wide Web and the thing called the internet that was coming. He was just certain. And I remember the assistant superintendent of the district was sitting next to me, and he was like, yeah, right. Well, here we are. And I remember tackling the World Wide Web and internet and taking that on as school leaders. And, we are excited to be able to share what we've done so far. And, this is here, it's real, it's a part of what we do every day. Quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of my artificial intelligence on my phone doing autocorrect on my text messages. I did hear a speaker here just a couple of weeks ago about AI who said, AI is a very good friend of yours and wants to be a very benevolent friend, and so much so that you will get misinformation from AI, because AI today is going to work so hard to try and get you information that much of it may be, or some of it may be, inaccurate information, because it's working so hard to pull from all these different areas to give us that information. And so the team has a far greater understanding of this than I do, and I know they're tired. They were up early this morning getting ready for the convocation also, and so we'll let them get started, and we'll take it from there. Thank you. This is Mr. Tony Check, our Director of Information Technology.
Thank you, Dr. Pilch, President Matthews, Board of Education members. Again, as Dr. Pilch said, my name is Tony Check. I'm your Director of Information Technology here for the district. I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues, Nate Fall, our legal counsel for District 6, Scott Ford, our Assistant Director of Information Technology, and Scott Tissinger, our Cybersecurity Engineer. And they'll be here for Q&A toward the end as well. So if you have questions, just save them, and we'll be happy to answer anything. So, as Dr. Pilch may have mentioned, she said it this morning, AI Task Force. Is that what you're calling us now?
I am.
Yeah, we're calling AI Task Force. So this is the start of that group. So we're here to talk about the next slide. Here we go. Nope, sorry. There we go. What is artificial intelligence? Well, this will be the only slide I read verbatim, so I apologize for this. Artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think and learn like humans. All right, so think about that for a moment, what that means. So here are some examples. We already use AI in our daily lives, whether we're aware of it or not, as Dr. Pilch said in her autocorrect, which I understand convocation is finally in her vocabulary now, so it does that correctly. Few examples. Google search. We've all been in Google search. That is a good example of AI, how it kind of predicts. You ever notice when you type something in, it knows what you're going to type? It does that because it's watched you forever. Chatbots. How many of you been involved in an online customer service engagement with a chatbot? And sometimes not even knowing you're on with a computer. I think they've done a better job now of telling you, by the way, I'm your Johnny, your artificial intelligence chatbot, help me, let me help you out. Personal online suggestions, Amazon, YouTube, Spotify. Any of you use DJX on Spotify, where your virtual DJ, where it kind of commingles and your playlist for you. Those are just a few examples. Grammarly. I don't know how many people use Grammarly in their daily lives. I use it a lot for a lot of my writing. Students, I'm sure, are using it quite a bit. Virtual assistants, Siri, Google Assistants. Image and speech recognition. Any of you use Shazam, where it recognizes songs and tells you what's on the radio? Or Google Lens, any of you use that, where you point it towards something, it'll tell you what the object is, and maybe even more specifically, what breed of dog. My son is taking some courses at Front Range Community College and in forestry, and he takes his phone out now, and he's identifying trees by the types of leaves. It's amazing. So, generative AI is, I would pose, is positioned now just as the internet was years ago. It is disruptive in positive and negative ways. We don't understand it completely yet, but in a short time we'll know significantly more. Hopefully this task force will bring to light some of the positive educational uses in our district for our students. So unlike traditional AI systems that follow predetermined patterns and rules, for instance, chatbots, they're only programmed to react to questions you ask. So if you ask things outside of those parameters, you're not going to get very good responses. But generative AI has a unique ability to create new content. It can generate new content like audio, art, and text, all by learning by a set of data that it's taken in and figured out what it all means, without these explicit instructions. So here's a few of the AI examples. OpenAI, ChatGPT. So OpenAI is the company that is created ChatGPT. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. Microsoft Bing uses OpenAI as a basis, as its foundation model to provide you answers to things as you do Bing searches. Google Bard, that's Google's version of ChatGPT, just a consumer-facing, web-facing, interactive. AlphaCode, interesting one. It actually helps you create computer code by scouring the internet for computer code that already exists or it's been trained. And especially for things like GitHub, which is where programmers deposit their code, and sometimes they make that public. So this AI can kind of curate that and give you answers to plain English questions of how to code something. Magic School is a new one to me, but it helps with lesson plans, differentiation, writing assessments, communicating more clearly. Packback performs and is touted as performs like a digital teaching assistant, giving every student AI a writing tutor, or every instructor a grading assistant, providing some very qualitative feedback, again, with the teacher's oversight, but providing feedback on papers where they wouldn't necessarily be providing that really intense feedback for students. I'm gonna turn this over to Mr. Fall.
Thanks, Tony. So what are the laws on generative AI? Well, as we talked about in the work session, there are no state or federal laws governing the use of AI in the K-12 context. We know that this regulation is in the process of catching up with this new technology. Again, generative AI is relatively new. It was made public in November of last year, and it is moving rather quickly. We know that the Biden administration recently released a blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights. This is just guidance recommendations by the Biden administration. It's not law. And, some of the things that they want to touch on are things that we all share concerns about, data privacy and security and things of that nature. And so hopefully from either a federal or a state lens, we will see legislation being passed to provide some barriers or some guidance around the use of AI and generative AI in a K-12 context. It just doesn't exist yet at this time. However, while we are currently using generative AI, there's a number of considerations that we need to make sure if we're using this technology, because we could be violating things like FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which is the federal law that governs the right to student records and student privacy. And so if you are inputting student information into generative AI, you could be in violation of FERPA. There are also a number of privacy considerations, as well as things like plagiarism or theft of information. I will say that it is very difficult to track when AI is plagiarizing from another source. And then, as Mr. Check pointed out, generative AI is creating unique outputs based on the input that you are giving it. And so it couldn't necessarily be plagiarism if it's creating a unique output based on that information. So again, it is difficult to track, but it is certainly a consideration as we get into the generative AI field. So these are really the positives, though, when we're talking about generative AI and how it can be used to best support in the K-12 context. So really, when we're looking at an administrative standpoint, it can really streamline administrative tasks, things like admissions and attendance and grading. It can improve speed and efficiency in completing tasks, not only for our administrators, but for our teachers as well. But really the key here and the benefit to using AI and generative AI comes down to knowledge and instruction. We're in the business of teaching students and teaching them well, and generative AI could be used as a powerful tool to influence student learning in a positive way. It can be used to create personalized learning. It can look at a student's learning history, create tailored lesson plans and tutoring programs to support them. It can create feedback on students' writing assignments. You could also, as a staff member, use generative AI to create lesson plans to augment the instruction that you're currently giving, and it can certainly help you create or generate new ideas that you haven't previously considered. The generative AI is creating new ideas that you didn't consider to help benefit your students. On the other hand, there are a large number of concerns, particularly surrounding the use of generative AI. We're not going to go through each and every single one of these, but a lot of them are pretty much common sense that you could likely think of as we begin to use generative AI more in a K-12 context. I think the top four are really important to think about, though. With implicit bias, a lot of these programmers are developing this software who are English speakers. They could be males. They could have a specific implicit bias when they're creating the algorithms that are creating outputs. ChatGPT or generative AI lies. It creates misleading or inaccurate content, could create false statements. These are known as AI hallucinations, and I'm not sure if anybody on this team can kind of comment more on what AI hallucinations are. If we are just relying solely on the outputs generated by generative AI, there's no accountability for what is being produced by that. And then, of course, some of the more bigger ones that we probably think about often are things like laziness and cheating. There's also digital equity concerns that some students have and some students don't have, that they can, if we were to ban this on a district level, students could go home on their own personal devices, at least students that have those personal devices, and could use generative AI off network, off a district device, things of that nature. And then again, going back to language and cultural differences, we know that a lot of the generative AI that exists in the United States was developed by English speakers. And so certainly if you're an English language learner, you'd be a step behind in terms of providing the right prompt to get the output that you seek. Is there anything else that I missed? So when we're talking about responses from other school districts, there really are three responses that we've seen thus far in terms of the use of AI, and more specifically generative AI in a K-12 context. First and foremost would be an outright ban. We saw some of the largest school districts in the United States last year ban ChatGPT right away. I believe New York School District was one of them. And what they ultimately found is it's very difficult to monitor. This is new technology. We don't know specifically what or all of the different types of generative AI that are out there. For language processing, generative AI technology like ChatGPT, there's 1,000 other ChatGPTs that are out there. ChatGPT just happens to be the most well-known and the most widely used, but that doesn't mean it's the only one. And as districts were beginning to ban some of these, students and staff were just turning to other generative AI to use it. We also know about circumventing access. Again, some students could certainly just go home on their home device, out of network, and use generative AI to produce their coursework and then bring it back later. It just became very difficult to track. And then I think it's also just important to note that this technology is moving quickly, much like the internet. It's more likely than not that generative AI is going to be embedded in nearly everything as we move forward as a society, technologically speaking. And if we're banning this technology, we're really limiting the learning benefits that could be associated with generative AI. I think having proactive safeguards and guardrails on responsible use for generative AI is a more appropriate path to take rather than outright banning it, which we'll get into here in a little bit.
Excuse me, Mr. Fall. I should have said this at the beginning. Mr. Fall is not acting in his role of giving legal advice at this point. He's on the task force. He's very interested in this. He's, as you all know, he's a quick learner and he's very bright. And so he's learned a lot about this in a very quick time. And when we all met to prepare for this presentation, the IT guys thought that the attorney would be the better presenter on this section of the presentation. But I just want to be clear, this is not legalese. This is, Nate Fall is one of our leaders who's leading from the seat he is in District 6.
Thank you, Dr. Pilch. Yes, I am very interested, concerned, and excited about generative AI. So I've been learning a lot about it, and I hope that you all will too, because we're going to have no choice here pretty soon. The next response from district is full-on integration. We're not there yet as a school district, but some school districts were already kind of a step ahead of the curve in terms of having AI-related curriculum. And then even since the implementation or introduction of ChatGPT, there have been many school districts nationwide that have begun to include generative AI technologies into the classroom as part of their curriculum, where they're doing writing and response using generative AI in the classroom and really learning how to use this technology. And they've already embraced it. And they're tracking classes in terms of how much they're learning. Is there a proficiency growing through the use of generative AI or not? And so they're really tracking and analyzing that data at a really specific level. And they're really learning how to leverage the use of AI. If one technology is seeming to support students better than another, then they are then turning to that other technology to support students. So integration would be the next one. And then the last one is the cautious exploration stage for a lot of school districts. I would say, at least based on an article that Mr. Tissinger shared with me, 90% of school districts are in the cautious exploration stage. This is our recommended approach for this school district. This is a new norm. This is a new technology. It is moving quickly. It is taking over. This is something that we really need to embrace with a purpose, but we need to be cautious with how we embrace it. What kind of guardrails are we putting up? How can we integrate this technology to support student learning, but to avoid those concerns that we talked about, things like laziness and cheating and implicit bias and those concerns. And so this is really going to require significant collaboration, not only on behalf of district leadership, but really down working with staff and teachers and folks that are in the classroom and working directly with students. And we're going to need to have their voice in the room as well to determine the best approach for this particular school district. And I will turn it back over to Mr. Check.
Thank you, Mr. Fall. I appreciate that. A few recommendations regarding the use of generative AI are listed up there. These can also be applied to any technology, not just generative AI. So never upload sensitive, non-public internal data. Always review outputs. In other words, don't just rely on what it returns and then turn it in. I guess that's a good way, or email it or send it. Refrain from uploading personal data. You don't know where those data end up. It becomes part of, as I say, the collective. So at some point in time when these AIs are a little bit more free and open, some of your data may appear somebody else's search. Exercise caution, be aware of the risks. So if you're using this as a way to get work done and it becomes unavailable, that's a risk. If you're using it to create content that is not true, that's a risk. So always check your sources, exercise caution. Avoid relying on the output of these models. I think I alluded to that a little bit earlier. Prioritize data and security, all right? So as with anything else, when you're logging into your bank, as you're doing anything that's sensitive data into your social security account, into the government websites, you're always cognizant and very cautious about that. Use that same sense of caution with these sites as well, because you just don't know. There's no, as Mr. Falls said, there are no rules with this. There are no legislation around what these services can and cannot do. And the last thing is encourage conversations with staff and students. And that's one thing here as educators that we should always be doing, is encouraging those conversations so we both better understand how we are getting along with the service, how we can integrate it if that's the decision we decide to make. But it is coming. So I think is this yours, Mr. Fall? I think it is. I like this one. But you can have it.
So just on a couple other considerations, just be aware that we don't have any contracts with these generative AI companies. These are free services that folks are able to sign up for, but we don't have any formal contracts with data protection addendums attached to these companies. And another piece is it's really unclear to know who has access to these data sets. So if we are uploading PII into generative AI, we don't know who this is going to or what is going to be used with that information. It's always important to be aware of phishing and other cybersecurity related issues as it relates to outputs generated by generative AI. And it's really important to be mindful that this technology is still in development. ChatGPT, for example, is not in its final stage. It is still evolving. And so we just want to make sure that all websites that we're using are suitable and to avoid any cybersecurity implications if at all possible. So in the cautious exploration stage, this is what we are currently looking to do. We are considering policy approaches. Again, we want to establish some guiding principles. We want to put up some proactive barriers into the responsible use of generative AI. Perhaps we will have a teacher or administrator permissions for certain technology. We always want to make sure that there's critical evaluation of all content that is generated by AI. Again, not to rely solely on the outputs, but to have some level of accountability over the outputs that were produced. And then, of course, we want to have awareness and education throughout the district in terms of the most responsible use of generative AI. We're going to always be considerate of all concerns associated with the use of generative AI. And then ideally, we will have some district level trainings as well as resource development, perhaps a resource bank or something else of that nature that we can provide to staff and to the community on how this district plans to approach generative AI. So this is really a new frontier. Again, we are exploring all options for students and staff to benefit from the use of generative AI. We believe this is a tool, a very powerful tool that we can use to benefit our students. But again, we want to make sure there's collaboration, that we are working together, and we are always avoiding inappropriate practices. We want to ensure appropriate and competent use at all times. I will be tracking any legislation or regulations as they come forward. And then again, we want to evolve as an organization along with this technology. We will be putting a review committee together. So far, you're looking at the AI task force as it stands. That will grow, of course, and we will certainly look to include educators as well in these conversations. And then again, ideally, we'll come out with some resource development to help support everybody. So in the meantime, we have provided you, the board, with some resources that you can go to. These are a couple of really, very user-friendly articles and informational letters that you can look into about generative AI in a K-12 context that you can reflect on yourself. And with that, we'll turn it to you for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Fall. Thank you, Mr. Check. Thank you all for being here tonight. We certainly appreciate it. And we do have a question, at least from a student. So Tyler, go ahead with your question or comment.
So first, I want to thank you for your presentation. Throughout history, we've learned multiple times that just outright banning things that we are afraid of, or for many different reasons, for example, the prohibition did not work because where there's a will, there's a way, especially with teenagers. I know that, well, because I'm a teenager. With AI, I feel like there should be a more, like you said, a cautious approach. We need to have it learn, or we need to learn to have it grow with the classroom and evolve to use it within it. Because if we just outright ban it or tell students they aren't allowed to use it, they're going to use it anyway. They're going to find ways to do it, and it doesn't really help anybody. If we create rules and try and incorporate it into the classroom, I feel like there's going to be a better outcome. It has a lot of uses. It also has a lot of bad uses. But the bad uses can not completely be negated, as nothing ever can, but I feel like they can be lessened by having students know the responsible way to use the software. And as you said, it is not as in its final stages, and because it is generative AI, it will continue to evolve and continue to get more and more advanced, especially with plagiarism. It is pretty hard to detect plagiarism with AI, especially because students can just outright use them as not really the exact same words, but they can use them as a template for their assignments, and it is not detectable, as well as there's a lot of false positives with the plagiarism software. So once again, I feel like if we incorporate it into the classroom and try to learn and use it, it will help a lot more in the long run. That is all.
Can we have this gentleman on our task force committee? Thank you.
Ms. Mash.
That was actually exactly what I was going to say when you talked about, involving staff with your planning. I think it would be great to involve students. My other joke I was going to make is that, Mr. Fall, you're on the task force because you're the youngest member as well. And no offense, I got at least 10 years out of you, but yeah, I mean, this is, I mentioned that we got to observe the recording studio at Winograd, and those kids didn't even need any training, right? So I appreciate having the student perspective here tonight, and I think maybe they could be beneficial, but thank you so much. Honestly, I feel like I'm pretty techie, but there's so much to unpack here, and again, I'm so thankful for you all doing this work and bringing, you're doing the research and then bringing us your recommendations. I like a cautious approach. It sounds like we really want to capitalize on the benefits and keep our students protected. So yeah, I think sounds like we're on the same page.
Mr. Bentley.
Yeah, thank you guys for all that info. Echo what Nate said, it's exciting but scary at the same time. There was kind of the same situation with cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin when it first came out. Everybody was a little bit scared of it, so it just got banned for a minute until regulation caught up, and now it's kind of been adopted, and it's the new norm. But there's that saying, the only two things guaranteed in life are death and taxes, and it's actually death, taxes, and change. And I'm a big believer that you either adapt with the change or you get left behind. So I think the business that we're in, getting kids ready for career in college, this is going to be a big part of their lives going forward and future generations. So being cautious and kind of realizing the potential here, although dangerous, it probably is going to be a daily part of their lives going forward. So I'm with you guys, being cautiously optimistic and safe about it. So thank you for all that.
Richard?
I will echo that this is a tool, this is a new frontier, this is new opportunities, and just what's capable with this new technology. I will agree that it is sort of scary, but it can be very beneficial. But my question is that as a district, when we are regulating it, will it be through our own, or will we try to have a consensus across districts and as a nation together?
All right, I'm going to take a little bit of a circular path to your answer, and I apologize. When we say regulate, when we're talking about a classroom, it's been the job of school districts for a very, very long time to help students learn how to use things to get information. We were talking about age, and we'll just let that sit, but when I was in grade school, the big issue there was using the encyclopedia for research. And the problem being that as soon as the encyclopedia is published, it's out of date. I think to all of us as we talk about this, the goal isn't regulation you think of in terms of a big regulation, but more of teachers helping students understand how to appropriately use this to do their work. And that's what we mean by the cautious approach. We don't want to knee-jerk, we don't want to be afraid of it. We just want to make sure we're helping students understand how to produce good work and not just rely on the tool with the understanding that, like, it can outright lie, it can be wrong, If it was always going to be right, we would just call it I, right? So that's kind of the key. So again, the key part of this is teachers will be there to help students move forward. And we have to be there to help teachers and our administrators understand more about how to use it appropriately. But the key is going to be what happens in the classroom. So I hope that kind of gets to the...
Thank you.
Mr. Norwood.
I am not very technologically literate. Thank you guys for everything. And I just had a question, Mr. Check. You know my struggles with technology. Am I safe to put Google Lens on my phone? And I'm serious because, you know, I'm always afraid of putting apps on there that I don't know anything about.
Boy, that's a loaded question. Is it safe? I guess it all depends on how you use the technology. So if you're taking pictures of legal documents, I would say probably not. You know, private stuff, but if you're taking a picture of a dog and you want to know what breed it is, I think that's probably a pretty safe use of that technology to help you get along in your daily life. But it's the same caution that we spoke of earlier, is just be careful about what you give because you don't know who you're giving it to. Cautious exploration.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
President Matthews, I have a couple things to add. We do have some of our teachers who are practicing with some of this, who are testing out some of the artificial intelligence. We have a language arts teacher at one of our high schools who recently used a program called Magic School, something to actually to review her students' papers. And so it actually gave the students a great deal of feedback around grammar, far more feedback than she would have had time to do on 150, 160 papers. And so we do have some folks who are testing some of this stuff out. We also have an opportunity through our partnership. I'm on that National Superintendent's Collaborative for AVID. And so as a part of that partnership, we have an opportunity, since we are a national demonstration site and we're district-wide AVID, to use a tool that AVID has contracted with that is an instructional tutorial tool that is artificial intelligence, and we can pilot that tool. It's a secondary tool. We have to pilot it in the AVID classroom. And so Mr. Osmus is going to work with Amanda Krieger, who coordinates our AVID program, and with our secondary schools to see if there's interest in piloting that tutorial program. So we do have people who are stretching their wings and dipping into some of this, and we'll bring you more information as it evolves.
Thank you, Dr. Pilch. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for this informative presentation. I think this is the first presentation we've ever had on AI, and I have a feeling it will not be the last. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Finally tonight, our final piece of business is our superintendent evaluation. And this one is an action item that will need a motion to move forward.
I move that the Board of Education of Greeley Evans School District 6 approve the superintendent evaluation as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. Normally, I will let the superintendent speak first, but since this is our evaluation of the superintendent, do we have any comments or questions from board members on this one? As they decide if there are any other comments, I'll just read for the public. You certainly can go online and see this evaluation. But just the summation is this: it is the judgment of this board that Dr. Pilch continues to provide outstanding leadership in the execution of our mission, and we are more impressed with her leadership with each additional year of her tenure. Each year has introduced unique challenges for public education, and Dr. Pilch has met those challenges with gracious determination and next level innovation. As a board, we had an hour and a half with Dr. Pilch to give her very specific feedback and very specific encouragement about the job that she has done in this district, not just this past year, but over 9 years now, 8 full years. And again, as you just heard, it is our judgment and our evaluation that she does a fantastic job, and we're very, very proud of her as a leader. We're very proud to have her as our leader, and we feel very fortunate that she's the superintendent in District 6. Any other questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, seeing none, Ms. Lemon, will you give us a vote, please?
Director Bentley?
Aye.
Director Campos Spitzy?
Aye.
Director Mash?
Aye.
Director Matthews?
Aye.
Director Norwood?
Aye.
Director Pappas?
Aye.
Director Sullivan?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Well, that is all the business that we have tonight. Thank you for a great meeting and thank you for a fantastic day in District 6. This meeting is adjourned.